Hey loves, I'm back and this time it's with a DIY. So if you want to see how I achieve this wreath, keep watching. So here I'm starting with a styrofoam ring and a bunch of flowers I got from Walmart. Now these flowers were $3 and they were about 6 to a bunch. And then I think these little ones were maybe $2, I think. And they had about 6 or 7 to the bunch as well. Now I chose this color palette because this is the color that's in my house, and so I wanted my outside door wreath to match the color scheme that I had inside. So right now I'm just removing the tags that are on the stem, and I'm using like this wire cutter to actually cut it. If you're familiar with a wire cutter, it's just a lot easier to cut with when you're cutting things that are kind of thick, metal-like, or wired. And that's me using it there. So what you want to do is make certain that you slide all the leaves up to the top where the flower is before you cut. And right now I'm just measuring about how much stem I need to stick into this styrofoam circle. And you can get this circle from Walmart as well, maybe for about $4. And some dollar stores actually have it also. It just depends on the size that you want. Walmart will give you more to choose from. So as you see, I just measured that and I stuck it in and it fits perfect. So I'm going to slide the leaves up for the remaining flowers, and I'm going to use the one that I previously cut and kind of measure with my finger and use my finger to cut the remaining flowers, as you see me doing here. And I believe I bought, I want to say about 6 bunches. I think I had about 6 bunches of the blue flowers and 3 bunches of the orange. So I'm just cutting them off here, and I'm going to actually save the bottom part of the stem, and you'll see why later. Okay, so I've already begun to insert the flowers inside the ring, and this is just me measuring them out just to kind of see where the placement would be before I actually push them down to secure them. So I think it was maybe about 11 that I used. I don't remember. But the catch here is not to put them right in directly from the top, but to put them in on an angle. And if you can see here, I'm kind of angling it where the flower is kind of on the outer edge of the circle as opposed to the top. And this is going to allow for better coverage. So once I'm done angling it, I'm going to use the actual green leafy parts to cover the outside perimeter of my ring. Now as you begin to place it, if you notice that the flowers are too close or they're overlapping too much, no biggie, just pull it out and reinsert it. You want to make sure that all your flowers are exposed, and also that you are covering the ring completely so that it looks very full and very lush, just like this. And if you see, you can now see the difference that the angle makes, because from the side you can't see the green styrofoam as much. And you'll be able to twist your leaves around a little bit more for better coverage. So make sure if there's any overlapping that you move them around to change that, even if you have to just take one out and space them differently. The key is to make sure that it's very, very full without looking junky or crowded. So now we're going to go in with our next set of bunches, and we're going to do the inside. And we're going to do it very similar to the way we did the outside. We're going to do it on an angle, and we're going to angle it inward, going against the inside of the ring, like so. And you want to be certain that your leaves again are not covering the previously placed flowers or the new flowers that you're about to insert now. And you can see how the green leafy area is actually now covering the ring. So once we start to add the remaining flowers on the inside, it's going to give the same coverage to the ring from the inside. And again, placement is everything. If you place this strategically, you won't have to worry about redoing it over and over again. So as you can see, this is filling out very, very nicely here. And if you decide to use a different type of flower, that's fine. You're gonna have to buy enough to make certain that you cover the ring properly. So like if it's roses or something a little bit smaller, you may need a few more bunches than what I have here. But I just thought that these sunflowers were perfect. So now I'm taking the remaining extra and I'm actually putting some directly on the top. So this is in between the flowers that I've angled in inward and outward. So right on the center, and you don't have to do every place, but just where you feel like a nice comfortable fit will be. And I did maybe about 6 to 8 of these, and this just kind of gave it more fullness right before we start to place the orange one. So there was a better view of where I was placing it. And this is the underneath of what you're going to see. And you're going to make certain that you flip this over. If you have any wires sticking out from your flowers, that you go ahead and cut them, because you don't want to scratch your door. And this could definitely do that. So I'm going in and just any little pieces that are sticking out, and these little things are flying all over the place. You want to make sure that you cut that off. Also, that will enable the wreath to be able to lay flush to your actual door. Now for the cherry on top. So like we did with the blue flowers, we're going to go ahead and start to slide the leaves up and measure and cut these to stick into the wreath. Now I didn't get as many of these because these are of course going to be like accent colors. So you don't want to overwhelm them. You just want just a pop of that contrasting color. Now some of these little flowers actually had 2 heads on them, which I'm attempting to show you there. So what I did was I used the remaining wire that I had left over from the blue flowers, and I just simply cut a stem off of there and separate the 2 smaller flowers so that they would have an individual stem. So instead of trying to place one stem that had 2 of these little orange flowers on them, I just popped one of the heads off, added it to the stem that I had saved, and that gave it an individual stem of its own. And I'll be able to show you that a little bit more clearly here. So again, this is a stem that has 2 little flowers on it. So I'm just going to pull one off, just like so that that flower now has a stem by itself. And then with the remaining stem that I had left over, I'm going to go ahead and just slide that on, and it's just as simple as that. Now this flower has its own individual stem as well, and I'm going to cut that off and stick it in. So that's going to allow me better placement so that I don't have too many flowers clumped up together in any one area. Now that I have all of these set up, I'm going to count them out, and then I'm going to figure out my placement around the wreath. So I'm just doing the math about how many it'll take, and I want to make certain that I'm spacing these out evenly. So again, that's another one with 2 heads on them, or 2 flowers I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and separate that one as well, and then go ahead and start my placement. So I forgot to mention, I actually cut these stems a little bit longer than I did the blue flowers because I wanted them to kind of protrude out a little bit more of a layering effect, kind of 3D. So I didn't want these to be as flushed as the blue flowers, otherwise the leaves may have covered them and you wouldn't see them. So these are a tad bit taller, and then once I get them ideally where I want them to be, if they're sticking out from behind, I'll do the same as I did with the blue leaves and go underneath and cut them. But this also allows me to see placement and whether where I have them is spaced out substantially enough, or if I have to go back in and maybe switch it out. So that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now that the wreath is set, I'm going to go ahead and use this $4 wreath hanger. I believe I got this from Marshall's. It was like about $4, and it was actually broken. I'm going to place this W, which is my last name, and I'm going to add this on the wreath. I'm not sure where I'm going to place it, but that's going to be next. And these are the different cans of spray paint. And I also have some rhinestones that I'm going to add to decorate the W. So I hadn't figured out the pattern just yet, so I'm going to do all of that in another video. Here's my hot glue gun and that stem, the remaining stem that I said we'll be using later. So right now I'm going to take this out of the holster, and this actually came, I believe, with a letter already pre-attached, but it came off, which was the reason that they marked it down. And it was actually right there on the tip of here, but it was missing. So I said I'll just buy a W and I will put my own letter on. So that's what I plan on doing, and I'm going to just glue that onto there after I actually decorate it. So if you'd like to see how I decorated my W in a video, let me know. Comment below. Also, don't forget like, share, and subscribe. Bye, loves.